This is the new Defy Advanced SL, and Giant says it's the perfect companion for an all-day sportive, an ambitious Gran Fondo, or an epic solo day on challenging roads. However, this is the latest top-of-the-range Canyon Endurace CFR, and Canyon says it's the fastest endurance bike ever. And this is the Uthald, and Lauf says while others have been focusing on making road bikes that feel fast or look fast, they've been designing the Uthald to be fast. Fighting talk, well, from Canyon and Lauf anyway. So, which is the fastest? And is speed even the be all and end all for an endurance bike? Well, we've got all three in the same place to get some answers. Which one would you have? Well, give this a watch and then let us know in the comment section below. For the Chinese, 2023 is the year of the rabbit, but here in the planet of bikes, our tech writers would argue that it's been the year of the endurance bike, with most of the major players unveiling something new. In fact, these three bikes barely scratch the surface, so in a few weeks' time, I'm going to be up here and doing it all over again, with the Pinarello Dogma X and the Specialized Roubaix SL8. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel for that. An endurance bike like this one is designed for long rides and has a more relaxed geometry than a full-on race bike. If you watch our Canyon Endurace first look video, then you'll know that we think endurance bikes are a very good idea, and for most of us are far better suited to the riding we do instead of being designed for a bunch of uber flexible pros. I can't even touch my toes. Well, I can here. Endurance bikes typically have wider tyre clearances, a slacker front end and more compliance than a race bike, and it's probably thanks to these characteristics that some of the early versions earned a bit of a rep for feeling a bit lackluster, less refined and indeed slow. Something that's rather unfairly stuck with these bikes long since it stopped being true. This latest breed though underlines that change with lower weights, refined geometry and top tier components. But how do they stack up against each other? Let's kick off with tyre clearance, because these days when all the lines between bike genres are very much blurred, it's usually this that tells us the most about a bike's intended purpose. The Lauf Uthald isn't actually billed as a pure endurance bike, but rather a rethink of what a road bike should be. In our minds, making us mere mortals faster and more comfortable, has endurance bike written all over it. And given the geometry and space for 35mm tyres, we thought it was well worthy of including in this endurance bike lineup. The Endurace CFR from Canyon has an identical 35mm clearance, although with my trusty stick, I can tell you that it's more generous than on the Lauf. Definitely. The Giant Defy is the most spacious of the three, with clearance for up to 38mm rubber. Whether you want to fit tyres that wide, it's up to you. I think we're getting into serious all-road and gravel territory at that point, and 35mm for me is more than enough on any road ride. That said, the space isn't exactly doing any harm, is it? And it also comes with holes for mudguards, which means you can take use of some of that space. You could argue that the space for those whopping tyres have compromised the geometry, and the problem with wider tyres is that everything just has to be a bit bigger to accommodate them. Take the chainstays for example, they're 420mm on this size large Giant Defy, whereas they're 5mm shorter on the Canyon, and the Lauf meanwhile absolutely knocks both those figures out of the park with 405mm chainstays, thanks to this rather unconventional seat tube. What do you reckon? Do you like the looks of it? Let us know in the comments. Short chainstays are by no means the be all and end all, but they do help a bike feel lively out on the road. We'll go and see if they live up to expectations in a moment. The main point of geometry, other than to bore you with tables after work, is to tell you what type of rider a bike is for and how you can expect it to handle. My favourite number to pull from this jumble of units is the stack over reach ratio, as this pretty reliably tells you how aggressive a bike is. The lower the number, the more aggressive a bike, and the more your back's going to hurt. On the Giant, this is 1.52, considerably lower than the previous Defys. In fact, prior to 2023, they had a figure much more in line with the 1.58 that you'll find on the Canyon Endurace. Given that Lauf doesn't market the Uthald as an endurance bike, you probably won't be surprised to hear that this figure is significantly lower at 1.48. It is worth noting though that this is still far less aggressive than most of the race bikes you'll find in the World Tour. For example, my Tarmac SL7 has a stack over reach figure of 1.38. No wonder my back hurts. Right, I've got a load more stuff on geometry, but I'm not going to tell it to you because it ain't half boring. We have got a few more numbers for you though before some ride impressions, because we've got some new scales to show off. The old one's broke and I can only assume from weighing some 30-ton e-bike. Yeah, this one's lightest. Right, I've been informed that road.cc wants me to be a bit more thorough, but I was right, the Defy is the lightest and by some distance. As we often say, it's not worth getting mega hung up on bike weight, especially on bikes like these where smoothness and comfort are paramount. That said, the lack of weight really is impressive and it does help the Giant go up hills. Before we get on to what any of these bikes might actually set you back, let's take a look at some USPs, the quirks, the things that make them different, for better or for worse. You might have noticed that this top of the range Defy comes equipped with these Cadex wheels. And look even closer and you'll notice that these are no ordinary spokes. They are in fact carbon fibre, as we've seen on a few top end wheel sets lately. Now you might be expecting me to say that that's great, but I actually think that the bike would be even better without them. Firstly, carbon spokes are expensive and it is no doubt been a factor in dragging the price up. My main issue with them though is that I just don't think that they have any place on an endurance bike, even one designed for high performance. Yes, they're a little bit lighter, but I also think that they make the wheels stiffer and harsher. And you don't notice it as much on this bike thanks to the compliance areas and wide tyres, but personally I'd rather see carbon spokes reserved for all-out race bikes and preferably only on smooth roads. The Canyon Endurace is certainly not short of a few quirks. This paint job is kind of textured. The handlebars have wings that are removable and change their size or pack into a box, but by far the most controversial feature is this top tube storage. Purchase all the bits to go inside, separately of course, and you've got just about everything you need to get you through most on-ride issues. And that's great, it means there's more space in your pockets or saddlebag for important snacks and clothing. However, this flap is a bit TV remote controller-esque and just doesn't quite have the same premium feel as the rest of the bike. Without wanting to start a whole press fit versus threaded bottom bracket debate, I can tell you that the Canyon and the Giant both have the former, whereas this Lauf has a threaded BSA BB. Make of that what you will. You'll have also noticed that the Lauf is the only one of the three to be showing any hoses, and that was a very deliberate act. The Icelandic company says that hiding hoses would save you less than a watt at 45 kph, and so it's done as more of an aesthetics thing. By leaving them external, the Uthald is apparently easier and cheaper to work on and allows you to change your position easier. If those aesthetics aren't working for you, then luckily you've got loads of other choices of integrated bikes. Speaking of looks, we've got the red colour option. That is, in fact, you've got to pay extra for red. In fact, you have to pay extra for any colour other than black. But it is cheaper to start with, so... You might remember these smoothie handlebars, or a similar incarnation from my Lauf Segler. They've got glass fibres in, which helps them flex, if you can see any. The Giant also has components designed to eat vibrations too, such as these bars which taper to be narrower to flex, and the seat post too, which does have this scarily thin bit which is also designed to flex. The Canyon is not without bump taming abilities also. The flat rear tyre is doing absolute bits but the seat post is also designed to help tame those bumps. Of course, all those clever features and gimmicks are absolutely worthless if your bike then handles like a half-eaten toffee. Luckily, we've been putting the miles in on all three of the bikes and they all perform very well. Compliance has become such a buzzword over the last few years, and I can't remember the last bike release, press release, that I saw that didn't include the word. I did have an interesting chat with CEO of Lauf the other day about the Uthald, and of course the buzzword compliance came up. Now, I've only been riding road bikes for the last decade or so, but even in that time I've witnessed the huge changes that have happened. When I started out we were all on 23mm tyres, and I'm sure there's many of you that remember even narrower than that. Bikes these days are just so much more compliant and they do soak up that road buzz, and sometimes it feels like they're slower, but that doesn't necessarily mean they are. All of those little bumps on the stiff frame, they're sapping your speed, and so when someone like Canyon says this is the fastest endurance bike in the world, it's probably just about the fastest bike that most of us can ride on UK roads. Out of the three bikes here, it's probably the Lauf that has taken this evolution the furthest, with almost gravel-esque geometry. The Giant out on the road feels like the fastest. That's probably helped by the carbon spokes and lightest frame weight. And the Canyon, as good as it is, it feels, I don't know, it's just not exciting to ride. It's good and it's comfortable, and I'd happily spend many an hour, 100 miles on any of the bikes, but it just doesn't quite have the same pizzazz as the other two. So then, some prices. In all three cases, we've been sent in the range topping models, but the sensible money is probably spent further down the range. Let's take a look at those builds. The Lauf is currently available in just two builds, and let's hope you're a fan of SRAM. The first model is the one that we've been riding, the Race Wireless, and it gets Zip 303S wheels and a SRAM Force AXS group set and carbon seat post and bars. It's a tidy build, especially for the sub 4K price tag. Below that you have the Uthald Weekend Warrior Wireless. It forgoes the carbon deeps and gets a SRAM rival AXS group set instead of Force. The two bikes get exactly the same carbon frame and fork, saddle, seat post and cockpit components, but the cheaper of the two comes in around 800 grams heavier, but cuts the price tag to around £2,788. And Lauf tells us that an even higher spec Uthald is coming next summer. The Defy range is significantly broader and therefore a little harder to get your head round. This one we have here is the Advanced SL0, however it is possible to get the same frame layout for less with the Advanced SL1. That's £3,000 cheaper at £8,499 and gets Ultegra Di2 instead, a giant power meter and lower spec carbon wheels. Thankfully, there are cheaper ways to get a Defy in your possession. In fact, the latest 2023 models start from a more friendly £2,299, albeit you don't get the fancy Advanced SL carbon layout. There's no fewer than 9 models covering most price points in between the uber fancy and the basic Defys, and the pick of the bunch for us would probably be something like the £4,599 Advanced Pro 1. That comes with 105 Di2, carbon wheels, and despite the Pro getting the lower tier carbon frame, they do get the higher spec Advanced SL carbon fork off of the top of the range Defys. Canyon also offers several carbon layups on their Endurace range, and an aluminium option as well. It's the CFR and SLX ranges though that have been recently updated, and bikes below that do start to differ in their design. The CFR sits at the top of the pile and will set you back £8,599 whether you want it equipped with SRAM Red AXS, Shimano Durace or the latest Campagnolo Super Record WRL, the first two including a power meter. The SLX frame looks identical but is made of lower grade carbon, which results in a frame weight increase of around 100 grams. The SLX is offered in an impressive 8 frame sizes and starts from £3,849. So on the whole, all three brands offer levels to suit broad price ranges, but you definitely get more choice with the larger brands Giant and Canyon. The Lauf does stand out as good value, especially amongst the three builds we have here, but the truth is the Defy, the Endurace and the Uthald are all actually pretty good value compared to much of their competition. Which one of them would I have? Well, if money was no object, then this Giant Defy is very, very good. It's no wonder that Matt gave it a 9 out of 10 review. The Canyon is by no means a bad bike. In fact, it's very good. It just feels a little bit clinical, less fun to ride, and just gets pipped by the other two bikes here. We've given it a 7 out of 10 review, and you can find the full review over on the road.cc website. However, if it was my own money, then this Lauf is undoubtedly where my cash is going, because I can't afford these two. It blows the competition out of the water when it comes to value for money, so I guess it just depends on whether you like the rather radical looks. You can find our full reviews of both the Giant Defy and Canyon Endurace over on the road.cc website. We'll pop some links in the description below, and the full Uthald review will be coming soon. If you like this content, then please give this video a thumbs up. Let us know in the comments below which you'd most like in your garage, and make sure you're subscribed to the channel for more upcoming content. We'll see you next time. And Lauf says something about it. They said something rude about the other two, and then something nice about this one.